The film opens in 1973. Japan is thrown into chaos as a devastating attack unfolds. Civilians scatter in all directions, fleeing from burning buildings as panic spreads through the streets. Amidst this terror, a young boy named Kosuke stands frozen, his eyes wide with shock as he witnesses a battle of unimaginable proportions. In the distance, towering monsters, known as cages, clash with each other in a fierce struggle. One of these creatures is a giant turtle, known as Gamera, marching steadfastly toward the battlefield, determined to confront its enemies. As Gamera advances, a sudden powerful laser beam strikes it with incredible force. The massive creature lets out a roar of pain as the enemy continues its relentless assault from the sky, firing beam after beam. Gamera stumbles under the vicious attack, but the cages are unyielding. They swoop down, trying to tear Gamera apart, intent on finishing the job. Despite the overwhelming odds, Gamera refuses to fall. Summoning every ounce of strength, the giant turtle begins to glow with an intense, fiery light, brighter and brighter, until it releases a cataclysmic explosion. The blast is so powerful that it wipes out all the surrounding cages, but Gamera is not spared. It too is consumed in the blaze, leaving nothing but destruction in its wake. Years pass, and Kosuke has grown into a man, now a father with a young son named Toru. The memory of that horrific day still lingers, but life has moved on. Kosuke and Toru visit the grave of Toru's mother, a solemn ritual that connects them to their loss. Kosuke, trying to comfort his son, tells him that his mother is in heaven now, watching over them. But Toru, with the bluntness of youth, dismisses the idea, believing instead that she is merely a pile of bones buried in the ground. The father and son leave the cemetery, each carrying their own version of grief. The next day, as Toru heads to school for a swimming lesson, something unusual catches his eye. Across the water, on a distant island, he sees a strange, flickering light. It's almost as if the light is calling out to him, beckoning him to come closer. Toru's curiosity gets the better of him, and he decides to skip school to investigate. He swims across the water, reaching the mysterious island, driven by an inexplicable urge to uncover the source of the light. Once on the island, Toru climbs over rocks, making his way to where the light is shining brightest. He finally reaches it and discovers a large, peculiar egg resting on top of glowing red stone. The sight is both strange and mesmerizing. As he gazes at the egg, something incredible happens. It begins to hatch. From within emerges a small turtle, its shell gleaming with an unusual pattern. The tiny creature looks up at Toru, and the boy immediately feels a bond with it. He decides to take the turtle home, naming it Toto, unaware of the extraordinary journey that lies ahead. Overnight, Toto begins to grow at an astonishing rate. By the next morning, the once small turtle is now significantly larger and has developed an astonishing ability: it can fly. Toru is shocked when he sees Toto hovering in the air, and he knows he must keep this incredible secret hidden. His father, Kosuke, enters the room to clean up, and Toru scrambles to keep Toto out of sight. However, it's not just his father who discovers the turtle's powers. His neighbor, Mai, sees the turtle floating and screams in shock. Toto, startled, tries to fly away, but Toru manages to catch him just in time. Toru quickly hushes Mai, and they manage to keep Toto hidden from his father, who leaves the room confused but unaware of the true nature of the situation. Later, Toru shares his secret with his closest friends, revealing Toto to them. The boys are thrilled and amazed by the flying turtle, immediately wanting to befriend it. Toto's ability to fly fascinates them, but not everyone is so easily won over. Mai, who has been concerned from the start, warns Toru that Toto might be more dangerous than they realize. She shows him a report on Gamera, pointing out that Toto shares many similarities with the giant kaiju from years ago, including the ability to fly. Mei's warning is clear: Toto might grow into a monster just like Gamera. But Toru, attached to his new friend, refuses to accept this possibility. He can't believe that the innocent creature he's grown to love could become a threat. Despite Toru's hopes, Toto's growth continues at an alarming pace. Within days, the turtle has grown so large that it's impossible to keep it hidden at home. Desperate and with no other options, Toru and his friends move Toto to their secret hideout, hoping to keep it safe from prying eyes. The boys marvel at Toto's beauty and power, but Mai remains troubled. She can't shake the feeling that something is terribly wrong. After leaving the hideout, she confronts Toru again, trying to make him see the potential danger. But Toru is stubborn. He doesn't want to believe that Toto could turn into a giant monster, let alone Gamera. His fear is that if Toto is Gamera, it might meet the same tragic end as its predecessor. Mai, frustrated and emotional, nearly breaks down as she pleads with Toru to reconsider, but he remains unconvinced. She runs off in tears, leaving Toru more confused than ever. The next morning, Toru learns the truth about Mei's situation. He sees her leaving for school and overhears her parents talking about her upcoming heart surgery. The surgery is risky, and the chances of survival are uncertain. The revelation hits Toru hard. He's reminded of his mother's death and the pain of losing her. As he watches Mei, he realizes how much he cares for her and fears losing her too. Determined to do something, he decides to give her the red stone that he found with Todo, hoping it will bring her protection and good luck. Mei is touched by the gesture and thanks Toru for his kindness. She promises to return the stone once she recovers, but there's a lingering sense of dread. Both feel that something ominous is on the horizon. The following day, Toru's worst fears come true when he discovers that Todo has disappeared from the hideout. He and his friends search everywhere, but the turtle is nowhere to be found. As they frantically look for Todo, danger is drawing nearer. Out at sea, a man struggles to survive after his ship is destroyed. He notices something disturbing as debris begins to surface around him. In a moment of terror, he's pulled underwater, leaving behind only a trail of blood. The Navy is alerted to the incident, and soon the entire city is put on high alert. Sirens blare as people rush to escape the impending disaster. From a distance, Toru sees smoke rising and buildings crumbling as chaos spreads. His father, Kusuke, arrives just in time to guide him and his friends to safety. As they descend a stairwell, the crowd around them grows frantic. In the midst of the panic, one of Toru's friends is knocked to the ground. Rushing to help him, they're suddenly confronted by an enormous shadow. A horrifying kaiju named Zetus emerges, towering over the fleeing civilians. The monster, massive and terrifying, hurls a chunk of concrete toward the crowd, sending everyone into a state of complete and utter panic. The true nightmare has only just begun. The monstrous creature advances on the helpless crowd, its enormous jaw opening wide before devouring the terrified people below as if they were nothing more than a sushi platter. Amidst the chaos, Toru spots his friend still clinging to life. Kusuke, Toru's father, quickly tells the boys to stay put as he cautiously makes his way to the injured child. He manages to hoist the boy onto his shoulders just as the monstrous kaiju Zetus lunges at them. However, before the deadly lizard can strike, another massive creature intervenes. To Kusuke's amazement, it's a giant turtle, an unmistakable resemblance to Gamera, the legendary protector. The turtle lets out a thunderous roar, standing its ground against Zetus, giving the people a precious moment to flee. Zetus, enraged, roars back at the turtle and charges forward, biting Gamera on the leg and causing it to howl in pain. The monstrous lizard slams Gamera to the ground over and over, trying to shake its tenacious opponent off. With a final mighty effort, Zetus hurls Gamera across the battlefield, sending it crashing into a nearby building. But Gamera, resilient as ever, quickly gets back on its feet. Watching from the sidelines, Toru recognizes a familiar mark on the creature's body, confirming his suspicions that this giant turtle is none other than his beloved pet Todo, reborn as the legendary Gamera. Without hesitation, Toru rushes toward the battlefield, desperate to help his friend. But Gamera is struggling, being relentlessly pushed back by the overpowering Zetus. The lizard roars furiously and slams Gamera with its tail, sending the turtle flying into the air and crashing onto a nearby bridge. Despite the brutal assault, Gamera refuses to give up. Zetus approaches, ready to deliver the final blow, climbing onto the bridge with malicious intent. The lizard lashes out with its massive tongue, striking Gamera and wounding it severely. The turtle dodges the continuous barrage of attacks, but the bridge crumbles under the onslaught. In a last-ditch effort, Gamera grabs onto Zetus' tongue and unleashes a devastating fireball straight at the lizard's face. Zetus roars in agony before toppling into the water below. Though Gamera emerges victorious, the battle has taken its toll. Wounded and exhausted, the turtle struggles to remain upright. Toru, frantic with worry, tries to run to his friend, but before he can reach Gamera, the military intervenes, cordoning off the entire area. Soldiers quickly surround the giant turtle, strapping it to a truck as they prepare to transport it away. Gamera, barely conscious, can do little as it's taken from the battlefield. Toru, refusing to abandon his friend, chases after the truck, calling out Gamera's name. The giant turtle manages to open its eyes briefly, acknowledging Toru before it is taken away by the military. Heartbroken, Toru returns to the shelter with his father, desperately seeking answers. Kusuke, understanding his son's pain, explains that Todo is likely the reincarnation of Gamera, the kaiju that sacrificed itself long ago to protect humanity. He warns Toru not to get too attached, as Gamera's fate is to battle monsters until it meets its end. But Toru, deeply connected to Todo, refuses to accept that his friend is destined to die in battle. Meanwhile, Gamera is taken to a top-secret laboratory where scientists work frantically to restore the creature's strength. They theorize that Gamera's powers are linked to the mysterious red stones found in the ocean and begin injecting these elements into the creature in hopes of revitalizing it. Despite their efforts, Gamera remains weak, and the scientists grow increasingly anxious. At the same time, Toru receives an urgent phone call from Mei's parents. They inform him that Mei has been muttering strange words in her sleep ever since her surgery, as if she's somehow connected to Gamera. Mei, in her dreams, realizes that Gamera needs the glowing stone to fully recover. Understanding the gravity of the situation, Toru gathers his friends and sets out to retrieve the stone from Mei, determined to save his friend. Early the next morning, Kosuke wakes to find a goodbye letter from Toru. Realizing what his son intends to do, he rushes after him, fearing the dangers ahead. Meanwhile, the scientists at the lab continue their attempts to heal Gamera, but are baffled by the lack of progress. Suddenly, Gamera's eyes snap open. It senses the approach of Zetus, who is rapidly swimming toward the city, intent on resuming their battle. The scientists, realizing the imminent danger, are thrown into a panic as news of the lizard kaiju's approach spreads. Zetus is heading straight for the lab, but Gamera is far from ready for another fight. Chaos erupts as Zetus arrives, its massive tail smashing through the building's walls, sending debris flying and people scrambling for cover. The entire structure begins to collapse, with Gamera trapped beneath the rubble. Zetus, relentless, continues to thrash its tail, bringing down more concrete onto the civilians trying to escape. The situation grows increasingly dire as the lizard kaiju wreaks havoc, determined to finish what it started and crush Gamera once and for all. Toru has just arrived in the city, only to see the monstrous Zetus wreaking havoc, tearing through buildings and terrorizing the people. Watching the news in horror, Toru realizes that retrieving the red stone is the only hope to save everyone. With no time to waste, he races toward Mei's hospital, unaware that the entire building is being evacuated. Among the fleeing patients is Mei, her parents guiding her away, while the red stone she possesses begins to glow brighter and brighter. Meanwhile, back at the lab, the doctors miraculously survive the devastating attack as they witness Gamera bursting out from beneath the rubble, now significantly larger and more powerful than before. The mighty kaiju roars in defiance, ready to confront Zetus once again. But Zetus, still relentless, continues its path of destruction, sending civilians into a frantic scramble for safety. As the lizard prepares to strike down more innocents, Gamera charges in and knocks the beast aside, stepping in to protect the fleeing crowd. Zetus, infuriated, retaliates with brutal force, pushing Gamera back and slamming the turtle into the ground right in front of Toru. The boy, desperate to help, shouts Gamera's name, his voice giving the turtle the courage to keep fighting, even as Zetus relentlessly batters it. Realizing that time is running out, Toru sprints toward the hospital, finally making his way into the subway station, pushing against the flood of people trying to escape. He and his friends reach the hospital only to find empty beds. Mei is gone. To Toru's surprise, he encounters his father, Kosuke, who tries to stop him from pursuing the dangerous quest any further, urging him to forget about Gamera. But Toru refuses, determined not to let his friend suffer the same fate as the original Gamera. He breaks away and runs back toward the battlefield, with Kosuke close behind, telling the other boys to head to safety. At the temporary hospital, Mei watches the distant battle unfold, feeling helpless as she sees Gamera struggling. Determined to help, she attempts to leave her bed, but her parents hold her back, confused by her sudden determination. Just when it seems hopeless, another girl in the hospital, sensing Mei's urgency, steps forward and offers to deliver the glowing stone to Gamera. With a determined heart, the girl dashes out of the building, running against the tide of people fleeing the area. The battle between Gamera and Zetus rages on, with Gamera taking the brunt of the punishment. The lizard kaiju impales Gamera with its tongue, causing the turtle to scream in pain. Zetus continues to mercilessly thrash Gamera, slamming the turtle into the ground and dragging it across the street before hurling it into a towering skyscraper. Toru, witnessing the danger his friend is in, cries out Gamera's name, unaware that help is on the way. The girl carrying the red stone struggles through the crowd but manages to pass it to a boy, who then continues the mission. As the stone changes hands, it moves ever closer to Toru, carried by children determined to save their hero. Finally, the stone reaches Toru's friends, who deliver it to him. Understanding what must be done, Toru looks up at the building where Gamera is trapped, vowing to save his friend. With his father by his side, Toru rushes toward the building, where Zetus is closing in for the kill. The lizard monster launches its tongue, inflicting even more pain on Gamera, who is barely hanging on. Toru and Kosuke arrive just in time, with Kosuke clearing a path for his son to reach Gamera. Toru sprints up the stairs and finally finds his friend, battered and bleeding, trapped in the room. Holding the stone, Toru speaks to Gamera, urging the creature to fight on, refusing to lose another loved one. But Zetus is relentless, crashing into the building and striking Gamera with its tail, pulling the turtle away from Toru. In a desperate move, Toru throws the glowing stone directly into Gamera's mouth as the turtle plummets to the ground, causing a massive shockwave. Just when it seems all is lost, Gamera ignites its propulsion, regaining its full power mid-fall. The turtle launches into the sky, its energy renewed, covering the area in a cloud of dust. The children below watch in awe as Gamera soars through the air, spinning like a fiery saucer. With newfound strength, Gamera dives toward Zetus, slamming the lizard to the ground. As the battle reaches its climax, Gamera faces off against Zetus one last time. The lizard leaps up, biting down on Gamera's neck and piercing through the turtle's body, forcing Gamera to charge up its energy once more. Toru, watching from a nearby building with his father, refuses to leave, even as the soldiers arrive, warning of an impending explosion. But Toru is confident, this time, Gamera will not self-destruct. In a final, powerful move, Gamera tears Zetus apart, ripping its tongue to shreds and sending the lizard stumbling back. The turtle, glowing with intense heat, unleashes a massive fireball that obliterates Zetus, leaving nothing but flames and ash in its wake. Exhausted but victorious, Gamera collapses, its strength nearly spent. As the military moves in to capture the weakened kaiju, they are met by the defiant children, led by Toru, who refuse to let their savior be taken away. Kausuke stands with the children, telling the soldiers to back off as they all gather in front of Gamera, protecting their hero. Slowly, Gamera regains consciousness, looking at Toru one last time before rising to its feet. With a final, powerful launch, Gamera soars into the sky, disappearing into the horizon. Toru, tears of joy streaming down his face, knows that his friend is finally free. As the credits roll, you're left with the uplifting message that true friendship and bravery can overcome even the greatest of monsters. So, what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you in the next video.